We'll be right back.
Good to be 500 at the turn, like we talked about early in the week, given where we've come from. It's going to still be a while. We'll work forever trying to get that September stench off of us, but that's life in this thing, and I appreciate the effort and fight. It's good to be sitting at 4-4. I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
We're still not where we want to be, obviously. So we got to focus on, getting it. Obviously, we got in the red zone a few times and punching those in for 6, opposed to just coming away with 3. But we're right there close, man. I think this group has done a great job of gelling together in those situations and moving the ball on the field. Obviously, coming away with 3 is a lot different than coming away with 7. So that's an ongoing, effort, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
And now, time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Brodge Ritchie, here on the Mass Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker,
And welcome back, everybody, to this edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast with me, Charles Brodge Ritchie. As is another victory right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as they have, yes, indeed, they have won 4 out of their last 5 games. More in particular, after having, just recently, when you really look at and when it boils down to, what the Steelers had to muscle out of their pocket. When you look at it overall, they went basically 2-1 in the month of October right there. And as a matter of fact, too, and you look at where everything's starting to shape up right now. Steelers still find themselves, however, unfortunately, a game back out of the final wild card spot right now as we get ready to look at the NFL standings right now. And plus, they still remain 2 games out of the AFC North due to the Baltimore Ravens defeating the New England Patriots last night in upset fashion. Definitely one of the teams right there who was able to go toe-to-toe with the Patriots this year and was able to give them their first ever loss, as a matter of fact. So anyway, as we take a look at it right now, like I said, here's how it all stands right now. Here are the standings right now in the AFC. As a matter of fact, the Pittsburgh are 7th overall. They trail the Colts right now by a game. If the Colts were to lose next week, and which, by the way, to the Indianapolis Colts, their next opponent, which will be next week, will be when they host the Miami Dolphins, which, by the way, who got their first victory of the season yesterday afternoon, as I believe they defeated the New York Jets, and that was in Miami, as a matter of fact, and they beat them 26-18. Finally, good to see them get their first victory of the year for them as we take a look at it right there. As you have Brian Flores, former Patriot, it's been a frustrating start for him and his squad, no doubt about it. But like I said, let's get back to the Steelers right now and go into some keys here of the game. Right now, looking at this game yesterday, a lot of people really felt like, a lot of skeptics and people in the media really felt like the Colts kind of gave this game away. I mean, they definitely had it won at some points at the time. But I got to tell you, there's some huge keys in this game. And one of the things you got to look at, too, was when you had Jacoby Brissett in there, who actually got knocked out in the game here, as a matter of fact, in this contest, which I really feel like disrupted a lot of momentum for the Colts overall. Brian Hoyer was able to hang nicely and did a stellar job. I mean, heard Mike Tomlin definitely give him a nice compliment, how he suited for those roles right there, and just ready to do some reps in a short amount of time, as he mentioned about that guy. And no doubt about it, because he definitely gave them a run, definitely has familiarity with the Steelers as he played against them when he was also a former Cleveland Brown. I'll never forget the time when they scored, I think, about 31 points and beat them by about 21, 22 points in Cleveland 5 years ago. They definitely did in humiliating fashion right there. I feel like that was one of the worst Brown losses I can recall, I mean, in a long time, other than the one that everybody grew up with. But like I said, I mean, Hoyer, I mean, did a good job holding down the fort. I mean, throughout this game, nearly completed half his completions. I mean, 17 of 26 for 165 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Finishes with 106 QB rating, while Mason Rudolph, on the other hand, just barely outpassed him by 23 yards, 5.5 yards per average. Hoyer had more, as a matter of fact, and he had a lower QB rating versus Hoyer, Mason Rudolph I'm talking about. But I got to tell you, I mean, there are some plays that really stood out, I think, in this contest, and we really got to look at, too. Like I said, I already mentioned about Jacoby Brissett, who actually got injured, I mean, in this contest right here. And I want to say it was around towards the end of, let's see, the first quarter. And, yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting shakeup here in this game. He got injured at about 12:46 left to go in the second quarter. So he got injured early on. Then he had the income Brian Hoyer. But I tell you one thing. Let's think about when it went to halftime. And you know how you can't end the game or a half on a penalty. Well, as a matter of fact, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, the Steelers, who were able at that point in time, were able to pull within 3 points at the half. I mean, when you look at it, and I really feel like that was a key right there. And when the Steelers did, you had basically right there a huge penalty on D. Leonard, unnecessary roughness that was enforced at the Indianapolis Colts 48-yard line. That eventually set up a 51-yard field goal for Chris Boswell. Put that in there right there. And how much of a different outcome would that be if those 3 points were not scored? They'd probably be on the other end of the stick right here in this game. They'd probably be losing this game by a point. I mean, I thought that was very huge right there. I don't know what anyone else really thought about it. But I definitely feel like right now, I mean, when you have stuff like that, that could be momentum changers in this contest here. Yeah, you really got to think about stuff like that. I really feel like right now, I mean, this has been an impressive win. A lot of people were anticipating it to be a nip and tuck battle, I mean, between these two teams. I mean, in this contest. And when you really look at everything right now, I mean, the Steelers right now, who actually were able to get in this contest, when you look at it, I mean, they got 5 sacks in this game. I mean, you had right now in this contest with TJ Watt leading the way in that category. He had a sack and a half, basically. But I tell you another huge play, too, aside from the penalty before the half, you also had Minkah Fitzpatrick moments before that, too. And where the Steelers, I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, before they went down, I mean, 16-10, and then drew it 16-13. Yeah, pick 6 by Minkah Fitzpatrick, by the way, who had a 96-yard return touchdown interception. And that's what I'm talking about. That's one of the biggest things I've been like screaming at through like the last few years. I mean, when I look at the Steelers group real quick here and the defense of like a Keith Butler, that was one thing I was curious to see when Keith Butler was able to do that. Of course, we saw it last year when the Steelers were able to get some turnovers, but they had on shorter fields right there when they made those turnovers and when they took it to the house and were able to catch it in for some touchdowns at that point in time. I really believe right now, I mean, ever since, like I said, when Ben Roethlisberger found out that he was lost for the season and he gave reassurance to the Steelers front office, I mean, to Kevin Colbert and, of course, Art Rooney, everybody, I think it made the decision a lot easier to want to go give up a first and a third round pick, I believe it was, for a guy like Mika Fitzpatrick. And look at where it's paying off right now. I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, at this point in time, I mean, when you do look at it overall, I mean, when you think about like what's been going down with this team, I mean, the Steelers, I mean, at the moment, when you look at it, for everything that's been happening or whatever, and you look at it, as far as like takeaways on defense, I mean, which remember, I mean, that was one of the things that needed to be up for a long time with this team about a year ago. And look at them right now as far as like takeaways on the defense. They are number 2 as the moment right now with 22 takeaways, 5 behind the New England Patriots, who've yet to take their bye yet. That's the stuff you really got to look at when you look at the squad real quick over here. That's how much of a guy like Fitzpatrick is having an impact on here. Let's also talk about guys, too, right now. I mean, you also look at guys like T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, more particular, definitely Bud Dupree, by the way. And you look at like Angela Tegnelia, who's one of the people with the Steelers front office, the PR person, as we take a look at it. And she definitely made a nice point here as right now she's one of the communication assistants. She can be followed on Twitter at Angela Tegnelia, as she mentioned it about. But when we look at it too, I mean, Bud Dupree, who's had like so far a career high in sacks right now with 6. Last year, he had 5.5 with 13 quarterback hits. He's at 9 quarterback hits right now. He's about ready to smash that record about a year ago. And I know Bud Dupree, he's definitely been a little frustrated when it comes to that outside linebacker position with this team. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, he's definitely been – I mean, when you look at outside linebacker, you think of a guy who probably trying to get a lot more pressure, like as far as like as a contributor on this team. I think he's definitely served his time with the Steelers and definitely made some contributions. I always said a guy like Bud Dupree, he was a guy who always be a slow starter, but he'll find out to come like make a big stretch. I mean, down the season. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, break it down real quick. I mean, he had 4 and 4.5 sacks in the first 2 years. So he had like about 9.5. Then in 2017, he had 6. 5.5 last year, matches his career high from 2 years ago with 6 right there, which Angela Tegnelia pointed out. And there you go. I mean, you look at this guy. This guy is a grinder at the end of the day. And you look at this team right now, and it's really incredible how much Mike Tomlin has did with this group so far and what he's been able to squeeze out. I mean, this is by far his best coaching to date. If you guys want to, feel free to get on the podcast. Remember, I'm usually on Mondays and Wednesdays about this time at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The number, if you guys want to dial in, it's 312-209-2232. Again, that number is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, as well as at Men of Steel CJR, which is Men of Steel podcast page. Then I also host On Deck on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. That's every Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m., covering Chicago and national sports trendy topic. Yes, I will get in Steelers from time to time when I hit my NFL. You can usually check out that segment in the last 15 minutes of the show which is usually from 1:40 to 1:55 p.m. Talks some NFL stuff right there as we look at it. And you guys are more than welcome to check out those medias. And then also I'm on Instagram too, Men of Steel Nation, my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast, as we are streaming live. So let's take a look at some other topics right now too as we look at it. Devin Bush, by the way, right now, he is tied right now with safety Devin McCourty for takeaways on defense in the NFL with 6. Devin Bush has 2 interceptions with 4 fumble recoveries, while Devin McCourty has 5 interceptions with a fumble recovery. Then you also got Mika Fitzpatrick. Speaking of the guy real quick just a few moments ago, who I just pointed out, he's got the second most takeaways on the Steelers team with 5. And I know a lot of people were still skeptic. I mean, how much you're going to realistically squeeze out of this team with him. And, like, why would you salvage your future that you haven't had in, like, about 52 years? I got to be honest with you right now. It was a wise move. It was definitely a position they had to roll the dice on. I always say, I think Ben Roethlisberger gave him reassurance that he wants to come back and try and honor his contract, even though it's going to be a little tougher to do with that throwing elbow being injured. It made the decision easier to go ahead and roll the dice and go ahead and say, you know what, we could do this here. We could definitely find a way to make this work. And, yeah, I mean, it's paying off right now. And you got one of the smartest GMs all time in NFL history in Kevin Colbert, who right now has got 201 regular season victories, 216 career victories and counting right now. I mean, that's what it's all about when you really think about it, too. I mean, those 2 guys, you cannot tell me how much they made a contribution on. I know we still got to be looking at, like, stuff with the offense still needs to be worked on. But how about Trey Edmonds yesterday filling in the role, too, behind Jalen Samuels real quick? I mean, this guy, I'm watching this game, like, unfold here. And you had this guy coming out here with some big-time burst. I mean, basically, this guy had like 12 carries for 73 yards, averaging 6.1 yards per carry. He ends up finishing the day, just like what I said, with 73 yards overall. Jalen Samuels, who didn't do much on the ground, but he definitely had a good, impressive, like, scrimmage yard day with 83 yards in scrimmage, 73 yards of receptions. Not so much impressive on the ground that day, 10 yards, but I gotta think they liked the burstability, the aggressiveness that he was running with. I mean, in that contest, and I can't say I blame the coach staff right there for doing that, or Randy Fichtner. I mean, at this point in time, I mean, you look at, I mean, right now at this point, I mean, when you really think about it too, and I know, like, Adam Munchak, who's been moved on from, like, the Steelers team when you really look at it. But, I mean, let's also, like, give credit to where credit's due. I mean, with this coaching staff right now, because I tell you what, one guy who's not getting enough recognition, I think, this year, who's doing a good job of keeping this offensive line intact right now. I mean, when you really think about it too, I mean, for right now, you got Sean Surratt right now. I mean, who worked close with Van Munchak. I mean, that was one of the concerns I've been hearing from a few people close by was, like, is he going to be able to maintain the same success that Munchak did, the attitude that he instilled with this team? And I really think he has. I mean, obviously, I mean, he's inherited some good players. When you have a guy like Pro Bowlers and Marquise Pouncey right there too, and you look at it, I mean, basically your offensive line altogether, when you look at it too, who's got a combined 13 Pro Bowlers on there, 4 All-Pros. I mean, with the bulk of that going, of course, to Marquise Pouncey with 7 Pro Bowl selections, 2 All-Pros, and then, of course, David DeCastro with 4 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pros right there. Then you got a guy who continues to bust his butt, Alejandro Villanueva, too. So those are things right there I think we got to look at real quick. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit, I mean, on this team as well. I mean, and that's one thing, too. When you have a backup quarterback, and not only Mason Rudolph, remember who he gets hurt. He had the concussion suffered against the Ravens, Earl Thomas. But then you had incoming Duck Dynasty, Devlin Hodges. Having a good offensive line, protect these quarterbacks, stay on their feet, hardly let them get dropped to the ground, it is huge. You cannot argue with me on that. I mean, when you really think about it, too. I mean, just during that whole spurt, I mean, when you really, think about it, too, I mean, at that time, I mean, it's just really been incredible what they did. And just incredible to watch how they do it. I mean, in that contest, and just really a true testament to them. I mean, what they've been able to do. I mean, if you think about that Ravens game, they'd probably be 5-3 right now at this point in time. The Steelers right now, I mean, which they could have won. Some questionable late calls in that game, but I mean, when you really look at it too, I mean, the Steelers just been phenomenal so far. And I just have nothing but mad love and respect for how they're playing as a unit, drama-free. I hate to use that word, but unfortunately, it's got to come back up, courtesy of me. But, I mean, I've been hearing from a lot of fans, too. But when you really look at it, too, I mean, it's just really been a true testament how they're playing for one another, how they're willing to protect for each other. I mean, at the same time, I mean, this, like I said, the offensive line, who I'm getting ready to get to in just a second here, still pulling up the stat here, which, by the way, and when you look at it, I mean, the Steelers, who just did a good job giving their rookie quarterbacks confidence, they have only surrendered right now to this point, which, by the way, the number one protecting quarterbacks, 6 sacks within the last 7 games. 6 sacks. Pretty freaking impressive. That's what Sean Surratt does for you right there. And I really think so. I think right now what you gotta look at too is just where do you go from here as far as like continue the momentum and just try and get like Rudolph in a comfortable position. The question is, can he get off to a hotter start? And like I said, I got Deborah Moncrief on here. Thank you very much for joining here on the Mass Duel podcast. That Moncrief was picked up in waivers by the Panthers, and they were paying the rest of his contract. The Steelers, oh, yeah, they saved some money. Yeah, I saw that too, Deborah. Thank you very much for pointing out. We're going to get into that in just a second. But, yeah, that was definitely another move the Steelers needed to make. It just really wasn't working out for it. It was just bad luck all around. I mean, when you really think about it. But, yeah, I mean, they did a lot of risky things, I think, right now when you look at it. And so far, it's been paying off. It's been paying dividends. They've been willing to roll the dice here on the season and really just go all out and say, you know what, they're not going to lie down for anybody. That's the theme of the Steelers team right now. They're not going to lie down for anybody. They're not going to roll over. I mean, despite who they lost, I mean, just think about it. I mean, when you go from losing your best running back in Le'Veon Bell and having to just adjust James Conner and Jalen Samuels last year, then have a falling out with Antonio Brown. He does whatever he does, falls off the planet basically, and goes in his little world. But then you also lose Ben Roethlisberger for the season and the second game of the year. You look at all that stuff and how it adds up, and it's pretty nifty, impressive so far. I mean, with this unit, I mean, what they've been able to accomplish, it has been remarkable so far. I mean, when you look at it. And they definitely got a lot of pride to put on it. It's definitely, I mean, right now what they just need to do, because even Brian Diardo, who I had my most recent guest with, we're talking about a recap of the first half of the season so far. And one of the guys he brought up that should probably be on the hot seat was Sean McVay, Remember, he's a writer for CBSSports.com. He can be followed at Brian DR, though. That's capital B, capital D, capital A. Make sure you can follow him on Twitter. He's also an interactive host from time to time. Make sure you hit that man up. I mean, when you look at it, he's definitely got a lot of good stuff. Always interacting on media, especially Facebook Live. But, he expected the Steelers right now where he could see him going no more than 9-7. What do you say, Steeler fans, right now? Do you really think right now that they could possibly go 10-6 at this point in time? I'd like to hear your thoughts right now. Again, the number is it's 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, as well as check out the Twitter and Instagram page. That's at Men of Steel CJR for Twitter, Men of Steel Nation for Instagram, and of course, Men of Steel Podcast for my YouTube live channel right now. As a result, right now, the Steelers defense, I mean, since that performance that they played against the Indianapolis Colts, I mean, right now in that game, when you look at it, I mean, in that contest, the Steelers' defense overall was able to surrender 328 yards, only produced 273 yards. So I can kind of see where the Colts kind of like let that one slip up. But like I said, give credit. They also won the turnover ratio too, the Steelers did. That was one of the things I was hearing going to that game. It was not going to be easy, like getting away with making turnovers on offense, and that Jacoby Brissett was going to make you pay. Give them a lot of credit for staying with it. I mean, Randy Fichtner deserves a lot of kudos right there with Tomlin right there. And, of course, Butler right there. I mean, you find a way to knock out your top hot quarterback in that game, and Jacoby Brissett, they've been playing good team ball, this Colts team. They were the second-best team. That really helps out in the win-loss percentage when it comes to tiebreakers, I mean, at that point in time. Because as of right now, the Steelers' strength of victory right now, I mean, it was 143%. It's got to go up a little bit after that win right there. So let's see what happens, I mean, at this point in time. But, I mean, you got coming up next. You got the LA Rams coming up next week. That's going to be a home game at 3:25 p.m. And that game is going to be on Fox. So more like I think we'll hear Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on that contest. But, this is right now, if they just continue to win right now, because then after that, the real toughest stretch, in my opinion, is going to be after that. I know you got the Browns who are struggling right now, who's definitely proven to be right now a good paper team at this point in time. But you got to really think right now they're starting to come back, crash down to earth, and find out who they really are, what people thought they were. I mean, at this point in time. This is a team who not a lot of people really expected them to be. This is a team right now who, when you look at it at this point in time, you see where they're doing, and they're not making ends meet right now in the standings. So, like I said, we'll get back to what Deborah was pointing out. According to Panthers Insider of @Panthers, Mark Henson, he can follow @Panthers Max. The Panthers claim former Steelers wide receiver Dante Moncrief off waivers, as he's definitely get the rest of his contract paid. He was a third-round draft choice of Indianapolis in 2014, and he's in his sixth NFL season. He spent 4 seasons with the Colts for 4 years, from 2014 to 2017, before joining the Jaguars in 2018 and the Steelers in 2019. And right now, one of the things, too, that he's going with, he was with current Panthers wide receivers coach Jim Hassler in Indy and tallied a career high 7 touchdown catches in 2016. So that Colts connection right there is a big reason for him to get picked up right there. And hopefully he can get some chemistry. Just like I said, sorry it didn't work out, Moncrief, but you know what? I wish you nothing but the best here. I'm sure a lot of people from Steeler Nation, frustrating season. Definitely was battling through an injury right there. I know he didn't play up to par, but yeah. But right now, Deborah was saying, I think we'll fix in 10-6. I could definitely see 10-6, but like I said, the biggest stretch right here where it's going to really tell me if it's going to be 10-6, like I said, you start first and foremost with the Rams. You got a chance to go up a game above 500. If they could do that, that really makes a noise, and it could be against another winning team. Good thing it's in Pittsburgh. And then you go on the road 4 days later against the Browns in Cleveland, a Thursday night game. Then you're on the road against the Bengals on Sunday, then home against the Browns. That part is going to be the toughest part. And then after that, you go on the road against the Cardinals, and then you have your final home game of the year against the Buffalo Bills in Week 15. And Week 16 and 17, you have the Jets and Ravens both on the road right there, and that's not going to be easy. I want to go close out here with my game balls from yesterday's contest. I'm going to go with Minkah Fitzpatrick, 96-yard pick six. Definitely it was a big game changer in that game that kept it within close distance. They were tie the game, but then still come with a possession still of Vinatieri misses some crucial kicks, a PA attempt, and a miss, I think, 41-yard field goal to win the game at 46 years old. He's going to be turning 47 coming up. And then, of course, I'm going to go with Jalen Samuels, who had the 83 scrimmage yards in that contest. So those would be my game balls on offense and defense. Now let's finish out real quickly with fair or foul. Steelers right now, who has at the moment got right now at this point in time, as we look at it with sacks overall, Steelers got 29 sacks at the halfway mark. Fair or foul will finish with 60. Career high, it hit 60 for the first time. I'm going to go fair for right now. I see how this team get lit up down the stretch right now. I mean, basically. I can definitely see them getting a lot from the Browns and Bengals right now coming up, most certainly. Of course, when you really think about it. And then you also got one with the Cardinals, too, which might be another unit right there who maybe getting a lot of pressure down the stretch. So I can see those definitely being some good signs right there. And then you could also argue the Jets and maybe Lamar Jackson. So I would like to see it get 60 sacks. I'm going to go stay fair on that one for right now, even though it hasn't been done, but we'll see what happens proven otherwise. Also, fair or foul topic number 2, as we get into here on the Mass Steel podcast right now. The September stench has been removed. I'm going to have to say foul for right now. They're 4-4 right now. Last thing you want to do is just get back to 500, but then you find yourself in a situation where you fall a game under. Let's see what happens against this Rams game, but I like the momentum. I like where they're cooking up right now. Definitely riding some big-time stride right now. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Mass Steel podcast. I want to say thank you to all you tuning in. Remember, I can reach every Mondays and Wednesdays. You can follow me on Twitter at PrideRichie, as well as check out the Mass Steel podcast Twitter page at Mass Steel CGR, as well as Instagram and YouTube Live. That's Mass Steel Nation. And, of course, my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast. Thank you again. Great victory Monday, by the way, as a matter of fact. I'll keep you posted throughout the week as we'll go into the injury report. And as always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.